Welcome in the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, real_G Warner. Tonight we are doing the Champions League knockout rounds. We're going to go through each of the matches, the first legs of two, try to give some ideas on where we want to bet and maybe what we could potentially be looking at for the entire, I guess, round for two advanced numbers and things of that nature. So glad you could all be with me. If you're not on Patreon, patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best spot for all my plays across all sports, especially if you're looking for daily updates, leans each night, plays as I lock them in. Download the app, turn on notifications, and you will know as soon as I lock something in so you get the same price that I can get. Other than that, if you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. Huge for the search rankings. Comments are also very welcome, especially if you want to make them soccer related. I'll address them, or college basketball related with Biggie Spen on the Need for Seeds College Basketball Podcast on this channel. Feel free to send him his way, and we'll get him on. And also want to shout out the YouTube subscribers. New YouTube subscribers come out later in the show. Wish I had that detail for Spotify, but I don't. If you're on YouTube at the real_G Warner, best spot to hit subscribe, and you get everything as soon as it comes out, including the shorts and the reels come out at the real_G Warner on Instagram. And that's basically what you're grading this podcast on. We're 18, 5, and 2, 55% so far year to date. Still behind, but catching up as quickly as possible on this soccer football season. And I think without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start with Galatasaray, and they are hosting Juventus. And actually, one thing I want to check to see if we do have any two advanced numbers. It doesn't look like we do right now, but I will certainly be hawking over these tomorrow as much as I can. We'll start Galatasaray of Istanbul in Turkey. They are quarter goal underdogs right now with all the juice. Almost all the juice right now on Juventus. Total in this one is 2 3/4. Juice very heavily to under. And there's been a lot of love for Juve in the marketplace in Italy. They changed managers after a pretty slow start to the season. Made a lot of sense, I think. I don't know why they constantly hire the wrong people, but you could say that about a lot of clubs across Italy, or really all across Europe. Um, Spalletti's come in. Markets loved him. He scored a lot more goals. They just inked Kenan Yildiz to a long-term deal, which they needed to do before he got lured away to some Premier League club or something like that. Um, but I don't know that he's necessarily. I feel like the best player on that club has been Conceição for a while. Those two together on each wing are really, really dominant, difficult, all the sort of things. Jonathan David has started to play better, but I still think he's a penalty merchant, so I'm not really sure that I believe in him much as a striker. And they're going to Galatasaray, which is one of the toughest places to play. Yeah, the Turkish league is not as strong as most of the Champions League qualifiers, but it is strong globally, and their crowds are some of the best out there. And so you're fighting a lot when you're going on the road as a favorite. Juve, I think, has more problems scoring goals than the marketplace has thought in Italy, and I think in this competition as well. So I'm pretty interested in Galatasaray right now. It is an early kickoff, 11:45. I think probably because it's as far east as you can go in Istanbul and in Champions League, and you want to get somebody in an early matchup, I guess. And there's the one. Um, but there's only one. And I do like the Galatasaray side for right now. And I'll look at two advanced numbers, though. I will say first leg should be pretty conservative. And certainly if you have second leg at home, that's a big advantage. So Juve will certainly be favored as a road favorite in this opener, and should be a favorite, probably sizable one when the two advanced numbers do come out. Another great spot if you're on Patreon to see my leans when those come out, because they'll be posted as soon as I see them. Moving to the big window of matches, we'll start with the kit I am wearing, or at least a practice version. We have Monaco at home to PSG. Really tough draw for Monaco, unfortunately. Right now, Monaco, a 1 goal underdog with absolutely all the juice on PSG. Looks like this is climbing toward 1 1/4. Would imagine it gets there before kickoff, and I'll be certainly waiting for that. Anyone who is backing Monaco, no need to get in now. Total's 3 1/4 in this one. She's very heavily to under. We could see this falling, which doesn't make a ton of sense if the spread is climbing. But those things happen. I think from hopefully this sounds good. I'm getting a notice on my Zoom recording. Don't see anyone in the chat complaining, so hopefully we're good. But back to Monaco and PSG. So spreads climbing, totals dropping, or at least is very juiced to the under right now. So that doesn't bode well for Monaco. They're in a home first leg. Certainly losing at home, you don't want to do that. But there's a good chance that PSG are pretty conservative late with a 1 goal lead because they want to take a lead back to Paris. And so when this climbs to 1 1/4, I think there's definitely value in Monaco, though they've been through a manager change. They've been through change in style completely from a defensive first Bundesliga guy to a up and coming Belgian, and no one's really can believe what he's done. Canoli. I mean, it was great what he did with Unron Senjawa, but you could argue that Alexander Blessing was there first. So I don't know. I'm not really a believer so much, but big home underdogs I like, especially in the same league and they know each other and they've played already this season. Speaking of teams that have already played this season, we'll go Benfica. They're at home to Real Madrid. Right now, they are half a goal underdogs. The juice is just 2 cents more on the home team, so not a huge discrepancy there. And we've seen some money coming in on Benfica since I started looking at these numbers earlier today. Total this one is 3, just very heavily to under, and that to me is a reflection on the change in management at Real Madrid. Yes, they have a ton of talent. Didn't really seem to want to counter press, gegen press, just high press at all. Vinny Jr. was saying he's going to leave the club. Mbappe, I'm sure, was a real dandy to Xavi Alonso, who I said this whole time was really overrated, and it's part of why I took Barcelona to win La Liga and have been betting against Real Madrid a lot this season. But didn't expect it to go this bad. Shocked that they decided. I mean, the players always last longer than the manager because the contracts can't be voided like a manager can. But to a former native son of Real Madrid, I'm shocked what they did to Xavi Alonso. With that said, new management, more of the special one, Jose Mourinho style. Hilarious that Jose Mourinho's who they've drawn in the knockouts. Um, Probably can't. I mean, Champions League draw. I'm putting this together. Storylines for days, forever, and there would be against a lot of teams, but this is pretty good, and you could certainly argue that was on purpose. But with that all said, Benfica's a home underdog. I mean, we're going to see a low score game here. So it wasn't in when they played in Champions League in Lisboa earlier this season or in Lisbon, Portugal. But I think we see a much more conservative and without Xavi Alonso there, I think we see maybe a better Real Madrid, but I just still don't know that they're good enough to go as a road favorite to win in a first leg when leg two is coming back to the Bernabeu. So I'm pretty interested in Benfica right there. Also in under 3. Don't want to lose that 3 though. 2.3, 2.75, 2 3/4, probably too low for me to play under. Moving next, Borussia Dortmund hosting Atalanta, another big matchup, but that's what Champions League does. Currently, Atalanta, quarter goal underdogs with all the juice right now in Dortmund. Really tough place to play. Been there. You'll see some clips probably on potential best bet opportunities later in Champions League or just in the Bundesliga this season. They're honestly too big of a favorite there usually for me to do anything with Schwarz-Gelben. But total this one's 2 3/4, just a little bit more to under. And this should be a good matchup. I mean, Atalanta sacked a manager already this season. Surprisingly, Dortmund haven't. But a lot of faith in Atalanta in the marketplace and their new manager, Palladino, who didn't do great at Fiorentina, but then they went to hell this season. Dortmund, to me, on the other side, such a great home team. They play really a different style in Champions League because they know they don't have to win every match. They don't need to put their defense in such dire straits. It's just really hard for me to want to play a quarter goal underdog on the road in Dortmund. Been in the yellow wall. It's awful for any visitor. Even till the final whistle, you still don't believe you actually got out of there with a point or a win. So I think that's enough for me. If it climbs, Atalanta get bigger and bigger, trending towards half a goal underdog right now. That does interest me a little bit more, but I think for me right now, and it's a little bit lower than I made it, but I think the total is all I'm really looking at under 2 3/4, really 1 3. Now moving to Wednesday, early matchup as we go very far east to Karabakh and Azerbaijan. Current total is 2 3/4, just more to the over side. Karabakh 1 1/4 goal underdogs at home with almost all the juice. So Newcastle, and this is really just going to be the difference in budgets. I'm sure it's significant. Might even be worth me looking it up. Karabakh transfer market. Let's see. They are valued at 63% foreigners. They're valued at 26.6 million euros, their squad. 26.6. That is not good. 26.6 versus Newcastle at 709. So literally, this is the biggest discrepancy you can probably imagine in Champions League. But Karabakh did a great job earning points at home. Somehow made it to the knockout stages. Beautiful for them. And it's going to be tough, but they're starting at home and they're going to try to keep this as low as possible, low scoring as possible. They're going to try to hang in this game as much as they can. More than a goal from, yes, a giant budget comparatively, but Newcastle have been really bad away from home for years. They have not really balanced Champions League and English Premier League in past seasons or one past season 2 seasons ago. Squad's really deep, squad's really talented. I want to see what the lineup looks like, but Qatar are interesting, and I imagine we'll see Newcastle money coming in literally until kickoff on Wednesday. So we'll see how high this one gets. To the big slate on Wednesday, Bodo Glimt. They are at home to Inter Milan, which I don't love with an Inter future to win their league. Currently, Bodo Glimt, a three-quarter goal underdog at home with slightly two more cents of juice on Inter. Total in this one's three, juiced pretty heavily to over right now, 18 of 20 cents. So Bodo Glimt want to score goals. They play aggressively. They're playing in the Arctic Circle, basically as far north in Norway as you can imagine, which is going to be brutal for Inter, and it's going to be freezing cold. And they're playing on playing on artificial turf, and that's not great. Really, I could see a very limited effort here from Inter. The problem is if you're playing under three, which I do think Inter are going to dominate this game, they're going to really protect their defense by possessing the football. But Bodø/Glimt are going to try to score, and I don't know if they are going to really just go all out for goals and put their defense at risk because then the total's in grave danger. But I think Inter will do a lot to prevent that from happening. I think Bodø/Glimt is smart enough that they know they want to hang in this game and they need to protect their net first. Um, that might be a little bit adventurous for me, but the push on three is important. It's bigger than I made it. So I'll lean under 3 goals in that matchup. Move to Wednesdays, still in this 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you like matinees, get on in. Bruges, they host Atletico Madrid. Currently, Bruges a half a goal underdog at home with 2 cents more juice. On the home side, total in this one's 2 3/4, juiced all the way to over. So we're trying to see some movement higher. Bruges have not really been a defensive team. They've been really impressive to me in Champions League. Had a great run a couple years ago. And then this year, I mean, got back to the knockouts, and that's all you can ask for. And they start with Atletico Madrid, who've been so bad away from home versus at home for years. So that's basically all you could ask for. Can they win? That's a big question as a half a goal underdog. Can they win by multiple goals? That's the best way for them to protect themselves going forward. And do they play a game that Atletico Madrid want to play? So, kind of what I talked about with Dortmund, how they play a lot more conservatively. Atletico Madrid could play as conservatively as Diego Simeone wants to, but they don't really do that anymore because they hired too many attacking options. So, to me, I think until we get a three. Sorry, I'm sick again because I'm never healthy. Just never going to happen again, I guess. Um, but Bruiser half a goal underdogs very interesting to me. I think waiting until we get a three is important, and I don't think we'll get there for the total. And that certainly reflects an Atletico Madrid of the past and really not what Bruges want to be. So it might just be home underdog for me alone. Last but not least, we go Olympiacos hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Currently, Olympiacos a pick 'em right now with all the juice. Total on Olympiacos hosting a Leverkusen is 2.5, and the juice is split both ways, so no real tell on this where this one's going to go. Leverkusen they were pretty much an easy fade until they got rid of Erik ten Hag, like 2 matches into the season. Really unfortunate. Can't believe that happened so fast. We missed a lot of money making opportunities, unfortunately. But Kasper Hielman, former manager of I want to say Augsburg or Wolfsburg or maybe Werder Bremen, one of the green teams, I think, in Germany. And more famously, the manager of the Denmark national team. He's done really well, I think, at Leverkusen. Stabilized the team that looked like they were in flux, had just lost Xavi Alonso and lost talent. Um, and they were underdogs on the road in Olympiacos earlier this season. So repeat. Currently, Olympiacos look a little bit cheaper, and we'll see if this one climbs to quarter goal favorite on Olympiacos. I'm not really a believer in them. Obviously, there's big talent discrepancies from Greece Super League to the German Bundesliga, but it's not that significant. This competition clearly qualifying, yeah, it's a lot based on your schedule, but they've already played. And I think Olympiacos, I mean, in a two-legged situation, they know they need to win here, which might actually play into Leverkusen's hands. So I think for me, I'm I guess waiting to see if Leverkusen moves to a quarter goal underdog. I expect that to happen. It's probably out there and very juiced at a lot of places right now. But I'm a lot about trying to save juice in this profession, so I'm not sure that I'm so interested in that. But certainly like the idea of playing against Olympiacos if they move to a favorite, especially because I think we see conservative outfits and outputs and not a lot of trying to find late goals and stoppage time. Yes, teams will be looking for them, but they won't be going for them and using a ton of talent to do it or taking a lot of risks. So I think that's important as well. So that is the knockout stages. There's 16 teams competing, 8 sets of two-legged matches, and maybe it's a brief episode, but good because I can maybe get some sleep tonight. Just kidding. So I'm about to record what I bet for the pregame.com podcast network. Now, before we get out of here, I usually do. I guess I didn't nominate a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I should have done that. So my bad. I'll do that before we get out of here. But I want to plug some other things on this network. Big East Ben's getting real hot in college basketball. He's won his last two. Big winner on UNC Wilmington this weekend. Caw! So stay tuned for the Need for Seeds College Basketball podcast returning on Friday for the Friday for the Saturday card as I'm typing Wednesday. If you are interested in more episodes, feel free to leave a 5-star review and put something in the comments that you want that. And I'm sure Big East Ben, he's looking to talk as much as he can. You know that about him. I'm sure he'd love to get out there and try to gloat in his 2-0, though he's still behind me in the standings this season. Other than that, more soccer stuff coming out. We'll have Europa League on Wednesday night and also getting ready for the weekend card Thursday night, most likely as well. From Tuesday, my favorite bet. Currently, it's either Benfica as a side or as an under, and I'll play under 3 goals. Benfica hosting Real Madrid. On Wednesday, let's go to Budaglimt Inter Milan. I'll go under 3 goals in that matchup. Biggest total out there of the late window games. And I think we see a dominant effort from Inter Milan. So for the ultimate best bet on this episode, we were 18, 15, and 2 year to date. We're going to go with the Inter Milan visiting Budaglimt. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rough. Don't love the pitch, but I think that might potentially limit some goals here. And I think Budaglimt will be smarter than dumber here. So we'll go under 3 goals, Budaglimt hosting Inter Milan, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. You can find us patreon.com/real_G Warner, Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, Betting the Pitch, and of course YouTube and Instagram at the real_G Warner.